All right, all right. Welcome back to Week 7 Post Game Pod for the Philadelphia Eagles. I am Marcos Conan Negrón, and we are talking about a dominating win today. Yes, the Eagles went on the road against the New York Giants and won 28-3. Now, I guess the question is, okay, 28-3, you got the score you wanted. Are you really convinced that they've really turned a corner here? And I guess on a few points on the defensive side of things, I think we looked awesome. I think this was a game that you can really stack considering how we played last week as well. And again, it was Cleveland and the Giants. Like, both of these offenses have struggled. It's one thing to really take too much from it, but the Giants got Neighbors and Singletary back for this game, and you would think they would have, they'd be a bit more competitive. But Andrew Thomas being out really cost them a lot as this defensive front was just getting after them. The Eagles ended up with 8 sacks, and they were pressuring Daniel Jones all over the place. He didn't have a second to breathe. So I thought that was an overall great performance by the defense today, and this is something that we want to keep building on. And next week is going to be a really good test against Cincinnati to see kind of where this defense is at. How can they hold up against some of these better offenses that are coming up here over the coming weeks? But yeah, the defense I was super impressed with. I think everybody, Nolan Smith got a sack, Jalen Carter got a sack, and I know Nakobe got 2 sacks in this game. Like, guys really stepped up today. The Georgia boys really made their presence felt in this game, and I was really happy to see everybody playing really well. It felt like they were making all the right decisions and being able to just stifle the heck out of this Giants offense all day long. And when we go on the flip side of thing, the offense, we still don't have that first quarter touchdown. That's bound to happen. It's just frustrating to think that given how this game ended up, you would think like, man, they would have had an opportunity or two to score in the first quarter. And it just always feels like their opening script is clunky, doesn't make much sense. And I feel like part of it is just them trying to chip away before really letting everything out as the game goes on. But you still got to work on that. Still got to, try and score in the first quarter. I think it would be helpful not having to rely strictly on the defense to kind of hold things together while you figure it out, because that doesn't always work. But against this Giants team, you can get away with it. I thought, we went 3 and out again, super quick in the first drive, and then struggled again with just getting the offense moving until the second quarter, where Saquon really just took over this game. Every single time he touched the ball from the moment the game started and he got his first carry, it was boos going crazy. And I kind of anticipated something like that, but it was funny how it was happening literally every time he touched the ball until they got towards the end of the game. And at the end, he's scoring and they're celebrating. You can tell the tone change. Saquon, it's hard to, I think for him, he did such a good job this week, kind of, masking the moment, saying, listen, it's important, but, it's all about getting the win first. And then when he's on the field, he's chirping, he's excited, and he plays his best game in an Eagle uniform. He ended up with 17 carries, 176 yards, and a touchdown. And I was like, again, couldn't be happier for the guy to be able to go back to the place he started his career and, had a kind of rocky finish. And he really got to just say, hey, look at what I'm doing now. I'm thriving. I'm with your rivals. You let me get to this spot. This is the payback you get. And Saquon really let them have it while he looked like he was having a lot of fun out there and just was really in control. And the Eagles were dealing with injuries to offensive linemen. Mekhi Becton went out and Jordan Mailata was already not playing in this game. So the fact that we were still able to run all over them was just great work by this offensive line. And because the Giants defensive front, they were sacking Jalen like crazy. Passing wise, it just seemed like it was still kind of a struggle. Jalen ultimately finished with, I believe it was 11 of 14 or 10 of 14, 114 yards and 1 touchdown through the air. And he had 2 tush-push touchdowns, so he finishes with 3 today. And again, no turnovers by the offense. That's well done. 2 games in a row, and you see the results when our defense plays well and we're not turning the ball over. We're giving ourselves chances. Now, if the defense can make an interception here, I know Quignon almost had another one. He was that close. It would have been a crazy tough catch, but it was in his hands again, another opportunity. So I think now the Eagles are starting to find their identity defensively and offensively. This might need to go back to what worked with this team in 2021 was them just pounding the ball, just running the ball nonstop and letting Jalen make, calculated decisions when the pressure's off him a little bit. And I think we were starting to see the reliance on Saquon and Kenny Gainwell had a great game towards the end once they were worn down. And it'll be interesting to see moving forward if they kind of just decide to take the ball out of Jalen's hands a little bit now that the running game is kind of taking shape again. I liked the way we were using our passing offense, but at the same time, there were moments where Jalen missed a couple open, opportunities to hit Devontae and hit Saquon. And those are things that you got to wonder in those moments. I'm like, whoa, I'm surprised you didn't see that. So I think maybe, maybe he's not used to being able to see those reps. Maybe somebody did get in the way on the defensive front, but I think Jalen, had he made a few of those opportunities today, would have looked a lot better. So there are things to work on, but I think this offense is finding its identity. And if they can go back to what it was in 2021 when they were just grounding and pounding the ball, it will hopefully lead to more success. And we were able to control time of possession in this game. So it was huge. We did a lot of the things that we really wanted to do. We didn't turn the ball over. And the one thing we need to work on now is kind of these silly penalties. We're getting penalties on the first play of the game on the kickoff. Like, we need to fix those kind of mistakes. But we're trending in the right direction. I think that, the good thing about this, 2-game winning streak, we haven't won 2 games in a row since we were 10-1 last year. And we haven't blown a team out like this since our Super Bowl year in 2022. So this game was kind of the one that we've been waiting for. And it's been a sign that they're continuing to improve on a week-to-week basis now versus the inconsistency versus the up and downs. So I think that's really encouraging for how we can approach these next couple weeks. They're going to be a little bit tougher, and we really needed to stack a few wins here. So if we can pull off a good one against Cincinnati, it'll put us in a really good spot. So overall, I think game balls for this game, I have to give a game ball to the whole defense. They really stepped up, and just when you're holding the New York Giants to, let me see here, to 119 total yards, like, that's gold stars for everybody because there wasn't any touchdown scored. Now, they had opportunities to push ball off the field, but they were only averaging 2 yards a play. The defense was all over them, and they only allowed 10 first downs. And again, they sacked them 8 times. So they were all over the field. Everyone was rushing to the ball together. It was perfect defensive effort. And then my second game ball, again, I got to give to A.J. Brown. He stepped up again, made a huge play on a 4th and 3. That gave us the first touchdown of the game on a super risky call, given the situation we were in. And he stepped up again with 5 catches, 89 yards, and a touchdown. He just continues to produce and create an unstoppable play for us. So, shout out to him for doing such another great performance for A.J. Brown. And, of course, the number 1 game ball is going to go to Saquon in his return, his revenge game. He dominated, 176 yards on the ground, 2 catches for 11 yards, and 1 touchdown. And, again, I just can't express how excited I am that we have Saquon and that he was able to have this opportunity in front of those MetLife fans. He still owns the, most rushing touchdowns and rushing yards in that stadium all time by any player, home, from a New York Giant or a road team. So it's super cool that Saquon kind of has ownership of that building, and he'll get the opportunity to run, there at least once a year, every year. So that's cool that he'll always kind of have that home to go to play super well, because that, it looks like his favorite playground up there. He felt at home, and he was chirping with the fans, chirping with his guys from New York, and it was really good to see him. He deserved all that good that came from today. He was the biggest reason we won this game, and he will continue to be the biggest reason we win a lot of these games moving forward. So shout out to Saquon. He did an awesome job. So looking ahead, I think, again, I mentioned that it's just about stacking wins and looking to improve each and every week. And I think we can build off of a win like this much more than we could build off of the win from Cleveland. So we're taking marginal steps. Now, if our passing offense can look a little less stagnant, continue to rip off these big plays, but not just rely on just having 1 or 2 of these plays work a game for the offense to really flow. They really need to do a better job of taking those easy buttons. And I think Jalen, again, if he just finds those, connects on those a bit, we're going to see the numbers go up and the offense flow smoother and they be able to sustain more drives. I think the one thing to worry about is that this team is still very much a home run style team. If they're not beating you on a go ball for six or Saquon breaking off a huge run, the offense can suffer at times. So I think that they really need to find ways to get more consistent, be able to chip away at certain defenses when they choose to play them a little bit differently. So hopefully over the coming weeks, it's just a matter of comfortability, having everyone back. This is only the third week of all these guys together. And, with AJ back in the fold, we're undefeated. So we just got to keep that going and keep playing great defense. So we got a great test against Cincinnati. Their defense will give us opportunities, but their offense is obviously one of the best in the league with Joe Burrow and those guys outside for the receivers. So it'll be a great matchup to kind of test yourself against a team that people had making it as far as the Super Bowl had everything went right for them. And obviously the Bengals are going through what they're going through. But I will pregame more with more stats and what we're looking for when we meet up with Ben on Wednesday here. So honestly, this was just a great win. This is one of the few wins that we've had in a long time where you can leave feeling really good about this team and what they've done. So, and the good thing is there's still more to improve on. Like, we haven't reached our ceiling. We haven't played our best game. So to be 4-2, against a division opponent, against a rival, first one of the season, we really, that puts us in a great spot moving forward in the NFC East. It's still very much wide open for any of us to really take on. So being 4-2, second in the division with a way to work up. I know that Washington really beat up on Carolina, so they'll maintain the lead in the division. And the Cowboys being off this week before they play the Niners next week. So that, there's a lot going on and it's still anyone's game. So we did a great job maintaining. And if we can keep building on this, there's no reason to believe that we can't be the best coming out of this division. And it's going to be more important than ever given how good the NFC is. You want to win your division. It's going to be very hard to make a wild card game this year, given the states of just how good the NFC North has been and some of these other teams that, will sneak up and surprise. Seattle got a good win, and obviously San Fran took a loss today. And then, I'm bummed out for Ben. They had to deal with some tough circumstances. So hopefully, with the craziness that's happening in the NFC, the Eagles winning these next few games before things get a little tough again are going to be huge, because we're going to run into some tougher opponents to finish the season. So getting wins like these and looking like this was the main point. So hopefully we can build on that moving forward, and we'll have a lot more to talk about. So with that being said, you can hit us up at behindthebackpod13@gmail.com. You can hit us up on any of our social media links that are down below in the description. This was the post game pod for the Philadelphia Eagles for week 7 off of a huge dominating win that makes me feel a lot more confident, a lot better that there's actually something salvageable and buildable with this team. So we'll talk to you guys next week. Love you guys. Peace. Fly Eagles fly.